Hey everybody, and welcome to another Cricut Craft tutorial. Before we get started, be sure to check out my Instagram listed down below. I post lots of fun stuff over there, and I would love to have you go follow me on Instagram. You can also tag me over there when you make beautiful crafts. I love to see what you guys make. In today's video, we are going to do a little experiment on screen printing with bleached shirts. We're going to do one before bleaching and one after bleaching so we can kind of see the difference and see how it works. This is a really fun thing that you can do with screen printing if you like the bleached shirt style. You'll just need a few things. So what you'll need is some permanent vinyl. I used StarCraft HD. Color doesn't matter. Finish doesn't matter. You can just use something that maybe you have a lot of and you don't use a ton. You'll also want some transfer tape, screen print ink. I recommend Speedball brand. I'm going to link everything that I'm using down below for you guys. You'll also need a screen. This is my favorite size. This, I believe, is a 12 by 10. It's perfect size for me, but you can get them bigger. And then I also recommend getting one of their large squeegees. These make it a lot easier when you're doing large screen prints. This is a super fun thing to do, and I can't wait to show you guys how to screen print on a bleached shirt. So let's get started. So to reduce some amount of time that this video would take, I am going to just show you this portion. All I did was cut this on my Cricut, and then you can see that I weeded out the spots where I wanted the paint to go through. So I don't want it to go through the letters. I actually just want this outside outline because I think that looks pretty cool, and that's how it was set up in the SVG. So what I'm going to do is get some transfer tape, and I need to put my transfer tape on to my vinyl, so I'm just going to go ahead and lay that down. I burnish mine from the back really quick. I just do like a quick roll down of that before I take it off of the tape, and then I'm going to cut off my transfer tape here. Just run that down. And this is medium tack from 143. It's my favorite transfer tape. So you'll notice that this is mirrored because we put this on the back of our screen. And then here is our screen. So it goes on this side, which is like the flat side, since it's flat against the shirt. So first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and take the vinyl off of the backing. And I like to use my pin pen just to get this started because sometimes the vinyl doesn't always want to stick in these big sheets. So you can get it started just using your pin pen. Just sort of peel off that backing here. And then just carefully take the backing off of your vinyl. You want to make sure all of the pieces stay down, just like you would with any other decal. I'm just going to slide this off. Making sure all my letters stayed down. Now because this one is kind of wide and not quite as tall, I'm going to use my screen in the landscape mode, if you will. So all I'm going to do is lay this down on top of my vinyl, and then I'm just going to burnish this using my squeegee. You want to be gentle and just kind of burnish across, making sure that you've got all these small pieces, and then I just burnish up and down. I don't like to burnish from the back as much because you want to be gentler on the back. You don't want to ruin your screen, but I will give it a quick little once over, just very lightly. Then I just find an edge of my transfer tape. And again, you can use your pin pen if you need to. Sometimes the transfer tape, if it's cut really close to the edge of the vinyl, it can be a little bit difficult to get it up. So I just use my pin pen, and it'll help me kind of get to the edge of my transfer tape. That's the only thing that I usually struggle with doing this, is getting this transfer tape to come up. It's not always easy. So you want to go very slow, and you're going to pull your transfer tape off. Now I just use a color of vinyl that I have like a lot of. So I got a ton of this rose gold in one of my grab boxes. So I'm going to use the rose gold to do this. But you'll see that, like, kind of see how some of the stuff is lifting a little bit? That will happen. So what I do is I either just try to hold it down with my hand, or if it's being really, really a pain, you can flip this back over and burnish down again. Sometimes you don't always get quite the amount of grab that you would like to in the center. So what I like to do is I'm just going to go across this again and just give it a good burnish and then flip it back over. So I'll get this all peeled off, and then we can apply our paint, or our ink in this case, to this, because this is going to be done with screen print ink. Once you have your transfer tape off, I recommend rolling it back over onto this side and doing another really, really good burnish. You just want to make sure that when you pulled your transfer tape off that you didn't accidentally make any new bubbles around the edges. So that's what I do. I always burnish it again. And then I have a couple little spots where some ink could leach through. So what I do is I use some painter's tape, and we're just going to put a little bit of painter's tape on this side of the screen, and that's going to help prevent any paint from going through where we don't want it to along the edges. I've had it happen before, and you can clean it off. Just a little bit of Dawn dish soap and like a little like rough washcloth work really, really well. I've done that several times if I get a little bit of paint and ink where I don't want it. But once it's heat set, you're not getting it off, so just keep that in mind. So I just like to give it just a little extra protection just to make sure that I'm not going to get this anywhere that I don't want it, because I only want it right in here. I'm going to go ahead and finish taping that up. I've got one little spot left, teeny little spot, and we're good. So now that is, so you can see how that's all on there really well. Now what we'll need to do is get our shirt, and we're going to use a Gildan, and this is their soft style. This is the 640 versions, and these are the heathered colors. I don't remember the exact name of this heathered color. However, you do, if you're going to be bleaching, you want to make sure that it has a good cotton content. This is actually a polyester blend, which I do recommend. They will hold up a lot better than just a plain cotton shirt with bleaching. The polyester can withstand the bleach. So I do recommend getting something that does have a decent polyester count in it. But the cotton polyester blends seem to work really, really well for bleaching. So all I've done is put a little piece of cardstock inside my shirt, and then I'm going to kind of fluff my shirt out so that it will lay flat. You don't want any wrinkles under your screen. So it's just kind of like when you apply HTV. You just want to make sure you don't have any wrinkling, and then I'm going to kind of move my paper around so that it will be under where my screen's going to be, because you don't want any paint bleed, ink bleed in this case. You just don't want any of that to bleed through. So now what I'm going to do is I put this usually about 3 inches down from the collar, the design, not the screen, and then I just sort of eyeball where center is. And this is sort of a little bit tough when you're doing screen printing, but once you do it a few times, you can really see what's straight and what's not. Like, that's not straight. That is better. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and get our ink. We're going to be using Speedball ink. This is my favorite screen print ink. It's super easy to work with, really fun. So all I'm using is just like an old scooper. This is actually from cat milk. I foster cats, if you guys don't know. So I have a lot of bottle baby cats. So this is like the perfect little scoopy from the foster cat milk things. It's like the KMR milk replacer. So all I do is I just spread quite a heavy amount. It's not like a ton, but you do want to be pretty heavy-handed with your ink. And then I have a little paper over here where I'm setting all of the dirty stuff, and then I got a little ink on my finger. So you want to be careful if you get any like ink on your hand, just not to get that on the shirt. Then I have the large squeegee from Speedball. I'll link everything down below for you guys. And all I'm going to do is just drag this bad boy down my design. And I want to make sure that I get into all the spots on my design. So you can see here where we have a little bit of a like edge over there. You just want to make sure that you cover your entire design. And I decided to use this blue because I thought it would match the shirt really well and look really, really cute. So once you've got a couple swipes down, what you can do is take the extra ink out and just take your squeegee, and I just push it back into the little ink pot. This stuff lasts forever. I've done tons and tons of shirts with these, and all my inks are still really, really full. The only one that maybe has a little missing is black. So then I like to take, once I've gotten a lot of the ink out, I'll just take it and go right back up, and I will go in an upward motion. Again, I'm not pressing really, really hard. I'm not giving it like a huge amount of pressure. I just give it like a nice even pressure, and then again, I just want to make sure that I've covered the entire design. So again, I'll just take that extra ink and scrape it right off back into the ink pot. All of this stuff came from Amazon. It was really, really easy, really inexpensive, super fun to do. This is one of my favorite things. I love screen printing. I really should do more tutorials for you guys, but we're going to do like an experiment today. So this should be really fun to see how this turns out. I'm pretty excited. So I'm going to set everything over on that scrap piece of paper. And what we're going to do is pick up our screen. You want to hold your hand on the shirt, again, to kind of check for any ink you might have gotten on yourself. I always make a mess when I do this. So I'm going to make sure to hold my shirt with a part of my hand that doesn't have ink on it. And you just want to lift up, straight up. And there is your screen print. Isn't that so pretty? This one came out really, really nice. I'm really excited. It's well covered, has a good thick coat on it. So because we need to wait for this to dry so that we can heat set it, we need to wash our screen. So what I do is I just take this into my kitchen and I run some lukewarm water over it. And as the lukewarm water runs over it, I remove the vinyl from it. Now we are going to do the same design on another shirt after we bleach, just so we can see the difference between if it works or doesn't work. But in this case, because I do need to wash my screen, I'm going to have to reapply the vinyl, but that's totally okay, no big deal. If you have a screen that you are going to use the same design a ton, I'll post a video down below where I show you guys how to make a reusable screen. Now we need to heat set our shirt. So I have my heat press set to 320 degrees and I'm going to press it for 40 seconds. This is just going to set the ink so that it is stable on the shirt. Once it's done, go ahead and pull up your press and you can turn that off for now. We'll need to heat set the next one after we do everything else with the bleaching. But for now, this one is good to go and ready to be bleached. You'll want to put a piece of cardboard in between your shirts, and then you can just use a spray bottle to spray around your design. And then on the one that doesn't have the screen print, I just kind of guesstimated where the design would go. And then I just added some fun bleach splashes just to sort of make the shirt a little more interesting. And you can see that it processes pretty quick. This only took maybe 10 to 15 minutes in the sun, and it's really easy to do. I recommend doing this in full sun on a warm day. It will process a lot faster. So I got the screen set up the second time. I didn't think you guys needed to watch that another time, but I will say I did this time stick my hands all over my transfer tape and then stuck it to my shirt a couple times, and it made it so much easier to transfer the vinyl. So that might be a quick trick that you could use to help transfer the vinyl. So we've got this on the screen, I've got my painter's tape down, and I have the shirt that we bleached without the screen print on it. Now, in case I didn't mention it, which hopefully I did, I do wash these. First thing you do is after you're done bleaching and letting it set, you're gonna rinse them until you can't feel any like slipperiness. I don't know how else to describe it, but once the t-shirt and the water seems not so oily or slippery, that's when you know you got all the bleach out. And then I just wash this on warm, and I do just a regular old cycle. I don't do anything crazy with it. Regular detergent, nothing crazy. I don't use anything that has like stain remover in it or any like fabric softener, but that's a personal preference for you. You can do whatever detergent you like. And then all I did was toss it in the dryer. These Gildan shirts are great. I have not had them shrink. They're pretty good about not shrinking. So what I'm gonna do, let me get this cardstock lined up here. I can see through the shirt enough that I can see where the cardstock is. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of smooth out any of the wrinkles, just like we did on the last shirt. And that looks pretty good, I think. So then what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and lay my screen down. And again, we're going to put this right about 3 from the collar. And then we just want to make sure that we get this pretty well centered. Actually, I think that's pretty good. Now, the one thing I will say that I don't love about pre-bleaching is I have a little spot up here which I wish would have been bleached, but that's okay. This will be fine. It's not a big deal, but we're going to do the same design so that we can really see and make sure that this looks really, really good, and we can kind of get a better understanding of, you know, how this is going to look and the difference between pre-bleaching and bleaching after. I don't know that we're going to see a difference, but we're going to give it a shot. So again, all you're going to do is get your paint or your ink here. Now, I will say that this ink is seriously my favorite. So if you're looking for a great ink, even if you're not a beginner screen printer, I love the Speedball ink. This stuff is so nice. And again, I really don't use very much when I do this. Most of this will end up back into the jar. So it's really nice. And again, I just have a scrap piece of paper sitting over here to lay all my dirty stuff on. Again, all you're going to do, take your squeegee and pull it down. And you want to make sure again that you just get it everywhere. And I'm not using a ton of pressure, and I'm just pulling my ink down. So once I've got most of that pulled down, I'm going to go ahead and again take the excess and scrape it off into our container, because I don't want to waste it. You don't need to waste this ink. It's really not expensive, but If you don't have to waste it, all the better. So now that I've done it down, I'm gonna go ahead and flip my squeegee over, and I'm gonna pull up this time. This way I just make sure that I've really gotten a good coverage, and again, I just wanna make sure that I get all the way to the edges. That looks pretty good. So what I'm gonna do now is just get any of that excess ink out of here, because you can see there's quite a bit that's coming off of the squeegee. So I'm just gonna pull it down and then scrape any of this excess ink off. Now everything gets washed just in the sink on lukewarm water. You can use a little bit of Dawn soap on your squeegee and your cup, your little spoon if you want to, and this you just rinse in regular old lukewarm water. No soap needed, nothing. And then I peel my vinyl off as I do that. So again, check your hands. I've got a little bit of paint there, so what I'm gonna do is just kind of make sure that doesn't get on my shirt. Hold your shirt down, lift your transfer straight up, and voila. Now, when you're done with this, make sure that you don't put it this direction. You don't want to put it flat on your surface. Flip it over so that your screen isn't touching your table. I did that one time. That was a very bad idea. Luckily, it washes off really easy. It is a water base, so it's very, very easy to wash off. So what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna go ahead and let this dry on the shirt, and I'm gonna go ahead and wash everything. I'll show you guys heat setting this because I'm interested to see what happens when we heat set with the pre-bleach. It should be fine, but let's give it a shot. And then what we'll do is lay them next to each other and we can compare how they came out. So just like our first shirt, we need to heat set our second shirt. Now again, this one was pre-bleached. We're just heat setting for the screen print. This is on 320 and I'm gonna do it for 40 seconds. You don't need a lot of pressure for this. I just used medium pressure. Once it's done, just go ahead and open up the press and you can move this off the press, and I'll go put this next to the shirt that we bleached. Then we can compare them. Here are our two finished shirts. So this one was the one that we screen printed, then bleached, then washed. This is the one that we bleached, then washed, then screen printed. The only difference I see is that the one that was bleached after screen printing, the screen print ink is a little bit darker than the one that we just now heat set and was screen printed after bleaching. Now this could be because I did wash this screen print. I have not washed this one with the screen print on it yet, but this one is a bit darker. Not so much that I think it would matter, but it is darker. I'll see if you guys can see that. It's not a ton darker, but it is definitely darker. They feel the same. I don't think there's any issue. As long as you wash before you heat set with the bleach, you're good to go. I don't have any damage to my shirt from doing that. I will say I do prefer to screen print first, then bleach, because I'm able to really evaluate where I want my bleach spot. You can see this bleach spot is pretty well centered, where this one isn't perfect and it could have been a little bit smaller. So it's just a personal preference thing. It will work either way, so whichever way you want to do it is the right way to do it. I don't see any issue either way. Again, we used Speedball ink. Very happy with the product. Love their ink. Have been using it for a really long time. All my other products are all Speedball as well. I've linked everything down below for you guys if you want to try doing this fun craft. But this is super easy. I absolutely love screen printing with vinyl. It's easy, it's fun, and it lasts a really long time. If you guys have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Be sure to subscribe to my newsletter over at CorinneBlackstone.com. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and happy crafting!